Well, welcome back, everybody. I'm Paul Koch, Regional Minister in the Christian Church of Mid-America, and some of you have joined since we began this wonderful video that our General Church Alliance Q ministry has produced. And those of you watching this recording of us on the web, you'll find the link to the video right next to this. So I'm going to hit record. And what conversation would you like to begin with?
David posted a question in the chat. One of the questions for assessment in the toolkit asks if our region is open and affirming, wondering if that discussion has ever taken place and is it on the regional radar? Great question, David.
I believe our moderator is on this call, so I'll defer it to him. Jimmy, you still with us?
We see his picture, but I don't know.
Yeah, he may have.
Sorry,
oh, there you are.
I'm a one-person office here, and somebody came in, and then I heard my name. What am I supposed to answer? The big question.
Jimmy, David Woodard has asked if the region has had discussion about being open and affirming as a region.
Well, not in any of the conversations I've been a part of for 2 years. So that is a great question. I'm going to pass that off to the next person. I'll tell you that in about 10 days, there's a new moderator that can have that on. I'll be on the board, and we've no reason to not have that conversation. Good. That's good, David. Yeah.
Yeah. Let me share. When I was being ordained years and years ago, I could not have been ordained in this region if I had been openly gay with the commission. That has changed, so that is no longer an issue. So we have come a long way in 15, 20 years. So I think that would be a great conversation for us to be having.
Mm-hmm. I think from my perspective, as the video affirmed, becoming open and affirming is a process, and conversations like this and that wonderful video and the engagement of our regional O&A team, I say, is certainly a significant step forward in our process. Yeah. So keep asking the question, David and others. So thank you.
This team has done more in this time than Melissa has been leader of the Alliance. I mean, I think everybody that comes to those meetings, more people come to the meetings and have strategic conversation about getting stuff out there and done than I've observed in ever. And if that can keep happening, then that's a huge building block, and making the Alliance, what we were hoping, it to be a fixture at our assembly, which with this occasion today, it has become that, like in the weird virtual assembly way. So, right, the Commission on Ministry, a team that works on behalf of the whole region. It's not just a church from St. Joe and 2 from St. Louis and maybe 1 from Springfield, because that's how it was, right? I mean, that was just, and Rockbridge and Columbia, lest we forget Rockbridge. So, now there's many conversation partners, as you can see on this, and many more that want to just listen. Many more that want to listen, I think, and that's a huge move. So if we keep telling the board that, then the board can, that's we would be 2 and 4 years out. That's the open and affirming process for a congregation region-wide. That we'd have to alter that toolkit. You have to bring different tools, Dave. Open up a toolbox, maybe.
I might add, from the perspective of the organization, that we do have open and affirming regional ministries, and that to calm any fears and concerns, being an open and affirming region does not mean it's a requirement for every congregation to also be open and affirming. Remembering and celebrating our identity as disciples of Christ, as a movement for wholeness, we have guiding themes and commitments, right? But we don't have a polity that is top down or that is determines how our congregations live into their mission and into their call. So the Alliance would be more than willing I would be more than willing to have those conversations about what does it mean then if a region is open and affirming and not all of its congregations are. There is currently a region that is deep in the work. They started much before the pandemic and they're continuing, and they are aware that they are working, they're almost taking their leadership teams as these units, and they are working the process, and then they are all coming together, and they anticipate that at their next regional assembly, they will have a vote before the region, because that then is the congregation, right? Your region is the unit that does this decision making. But I'd be more than glad to answer questions and offer particular suggestions for something in that capacity.
I think now that we've gotten used to these Zoom conversations, having a region-wide Bible study and storytelling and sharing is very much possible. So thank you. Anyone else have any comments or reflections from the video or while we're here together? Feel free to unmute yourself and just jump right in.
I just wanted to, I really enjoy the part where the distinction between saying you're welcome versus Alicia, you're welcome. To me, it kind of brought to mind someone announcing a party and saying everyone's welcome to come versus coming up to me and say, hey, Michael, we're not having a party.
Michael, that's beautiful. I'm glad that you lift that up. What city are you in, Michael?
In Fort Worth, Texas.
Okay. Alicia happens to be in Texas. That's interesting. I like to add that a part of my story, if I may share, is that I'm a parent, and my middle child is on the autism spectrum, and he and our family have been unwelcome in churches because of his autism. And so even for us, it has been very meaningful when a church has said, Tommy, my son, you are welcome here. And so it reminds me, whether it's Tommy or Alicia or Michael, that our scriptures tell us that God calls us by name. You know, our names are written on the palm of God's hand. So our names, like Alicia lifts up, our identities, who we are, must be affirmed and welcomed. Thanks, Michael, for sharing that.
I just wanted to share in regards to the importance of regions having these conversations. I'm currently serving a church in the Northern Lights region, but I was ordained in another region where they still have technically a policy on the books that they don't ordain LGBTQ clergy people. Now, it's not enforced, but it's on the books. And so I went through the whole ordination process as a bisexual person, and I never brought the topic up. Now I was ordained, and I don't, I fully believe that I'm able to serve as well as anyone else, but it was the kind of thing that I could have maybe brought up, and it might not have been a problem. But I always kind of felt like that was a part of myself that I just wasn't going to bring up during that process. And I don't know if it would have necessarily been necessary in different conversations. Like I did, speak about my commitment to LGBTQ justice. And so they knew that it was something that was of interest to me, but I think it would have just felt a lot better in a lot of ways. And I would have had a lot less anxiety around the whole process if that was something that I could have been open about. And so that's kind of some of the things to think about when you're considering, is it important for a region to also be open and affirming? Well, when they are going through, these regional committees on ministry, when that's a big process that a lot of people will go through with the region, it would just have eased a lot of my anxiety about it. But yeah, I hope that helps a little.
Thank you. Anyone else?
So I think that being a task force leader for the O&A process, this video was very informative. There were parts of Robin's video and parts of Brian's video that I'm looking forward to taking back to our task force at Afton that we can share, because some of the questions that have come up are being addressed in some of those storytelling or some of the educational parts of the video. So I think that as a task force leader, this does a lot of legwork for me that I can share with my team, and we can use it to better understand and possibly use parts of the video for educational purposes in terms of smaller groups and talking one-on-one with people.
I think I can share that the region is, part of our region is making progress on advancing dialogue, and our ARPRJM, Anti-Racism Pro-Reconciliation Justice Ministries, are beginning a training that we'll be offering in the next couple of years on intersectionality, realizing that all of us have issues in common, regardless of if they're primary or secondary or something that's local or region-wide or so forth, but we all have skills and resources that we could bring together and move us all forward together. So we look forward to that coming out, and then welcome participation when we are really in the weeds of putting that together.
Paul, I would imagine that some of you all have participated in the Love as an Action Word town halls that Reconciliation Ministry and our General Minister and President have hosted. That series continues as they look at anti-racism. And on October 8th, they are looking at intersectionality specifically. So I'll drop a link in the window, but Alliance Q, some of our leaders, and then several other disciples, ministers, will be on the panel to discuss race, gender, and sexuality. I'm really excited that one of the voices on that panel is a young adult. There is a 17-year-old who is a person of color and who identifies as LGBT. And so they are bringing their perspective of being a student. And they're a pastor's kid. So they're sharing that experience of race and gender and sexuality. But maybe you all would like to tune in then, or to watch the recording of that. I just put a link in the chat window.
Thank you. Any other words someone wishes to offer? Well, thank you so much for your participation today, and to remind you that on November 5th, Alliance Q will also be hosting a workshop. That'll be in the evening at 7 o'clock. And so this was, and you'll find the video, and they can watch dialogue. Better Together Thursday series that we've been doing in anticipation of our regional assembly, which is coming up imminently on October 3rd. And so please register, recruit voting delegates from your congregation and have them register, but everyone can watch on Facebook Live on Saturday, October 3rd at 9 o'clock. And 2 days before that, October 1st, which is next Thursday already, we're going to be having this forum to be used as a town hall on the issues that we'll be voting on at Regional Assembly, or people just want to update on what is going on in the region as we continue to move forward in visioning and in ways of ministry that are evolving before us. So that will be at 11 and 7 p.m. You have two choices to participate, or participate in both, because the conversation will be different. Ron, do you have any last words for us this morning?
Well, I put it in the chat there. I thought the video was very well done. It was just so good to see faces and ministers and people from all across our region represented in setting the wider table. And I'm excited about our future. We do now have a strong O&A team, and we are on that journey as a region. And just keep us in your prayers if you would. Thanks to Melissa and all the folks at Alliance Q for your great work. May God continue to open us up to include all of God's children. Thank you all for being here today.